gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for March 9th, 2023. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Jim Ryan says he doesn't want a Call of Duty deal. He just wants you to die, Mr. Bond. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game Mess Mornings. It's Mike Minotti. Mike, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm pretty good, Jeff. Yeah. I got no major complaints except stupid ones. Like, it's still cold outside. I want it to be warmer outside.
Okay, I was going to be like, it's February. It's March. It's very March.
You stupid idiot.
But, hey, it's still winter.
I know it's still winter, Jeff. I get that. But I don't know. We had some weird days where it was randomly 70 degrees outside, and I don't know. I used to be all like, the cold doesn't bother me anyway. And then I turned 35, and now the cold does bother me anyway.
Now you're very frail. Yeah.
I'm very frail, and it just like the cold just goes right through me and then keeps me chilled until like I take a shower or go to sleep. So yeah, that's my life now.
So in chat going after me immediately saying it's spring. Nope. I will not hear of this meteorological calendar
spring.
Or whatever. You trust weathermen with what time of the year it is.
It's definitely not spring.
Where's the sun at in the sky? Still going up?
Yeah.
It's winter.
When snow is still a distinct possibility, it's just not spring. Yeah, it's not even early March. It's like late March is spring. Give me a break.
March 21st is when spring is. Yes. Yeah, that's just when the sun does its thing relative to the earth. Well, I guess the earth does its thing relative to the sun. I'm no scientist, Mike, but what I am is a video game news scientist, so we can get into the show. But first, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. I know that stuff's been a little bit shaky recently. Again, we got our boy Jan out on assignment. Stuff should start getting caught up here pretty soon. So if anybody's been having issues with the feed and things start popping up, that's what happened. Sorry about that. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Sony worries that Microsoft could intentionally make Call of Duty worse on PlayStation. This comes from Darren Bonthus at GameSpot. Sony has submitted new documents regarding Microsoft's planned acquisition of Activision Blizzard and has expressed concerns to the UK's Competition and Markets Authority about Call of Duty potentially being sabotaged on PlayStation. In a hypothetical situation cited by Sony via The Verge, PlayStation manufacturer said that it was worried that Microsoft could release a Call of Duty game on PlayStation that has poorer quality and performance when compared to the Xbox version. Here's a quote from the documents. Microsoft might release a PlayStation version of Call of Duty where bugs and errors emerge only on the game's final level or after later updates. Even if such degradations could be swiftly detected, any remedy would likely become too late, by which time the gaming community would have lost confidence in PlayStation as a go-to venue to play Call of Duty. Indeed, as Modern Warfare 2 attests, Call of Duty is most often purchased in just the first few weeks of release. If it became known that the game's performance on PlayStation was worse than on Xbox, Call of Duty gamers could decide to switch to Xbox for fear of playing their favorite game at a second-class or less competitive venue. Mike, that's something that could have happened all the time, right? I mean, right? This just could. Sony pays Activision money to make the game better on their console. Couldn't they have at any point paid them to make it worse on Xbox? Like, if this is something that could have happened, wouldn't it have already happened?
Yeah, this is pretty stupid. Yeah. I don't know about this one. We're just going with bizarre, mean-spirited hypotheticals now. If Microsoft owns Call of Duty, then they could write Jim Ryan stinks in the credits. I don't know. This is reaching of such a degree. Like, I don't know if we're at it almost makes me hope that we're at the end game and they're desperate if they're pulling this kind of shit out.
I think they are.
Just bizarre. That would be a crime, right? To intentionally sabotage a game on a specific platform.
We're not experts, right? But to me, that does sound like actual anti-competitive behavior. That sounds like actual That there probably are regulations against that sort of thing in many countries around the world. I think probably including the United States. So, like a crime, I don't know. Anti-competitive, violating anti-competition rules. I would assume that probably would rise to that level, or potentially they could get sued if they tried to do something like that. I just, it just, listen, I made the joke on Twitter that's like, hey, well, like, why does Sony think this is happening? Unless, and it's like, for me, when I read something like this from a big company, it's like, wait, do you think this is something that happens because you've considered doing this? Is this what you would do? It's like hard for me not to read it any other way. I don't think Sony's done this, mostly because I think their partners that they would go to would be like, we're not doing that. But also, I just like, no, Sony knows better. But so it's just weird to like, we're going to make up the scenario in which you've done something wrong, and that's why you shouldn't be allowed to do this other thing that's kind of unrelated to this whole concept, right?
Yeah, I see someone in chat saying, well, in the PlayStation 3 generation, Bethesda games were worse on PlayStation 3, and those bugs never got fixed. Well, I mean, first, that wasn't really tied to a PlayStation or an Xbox. It was pretty well documented that most people were developing games for Xbox 360 first, and then porting to PlayStation 3, and the PlayStation 3 was just really developer unfriendly. So a lot of games were just worse on there. And also Bethesda games had a lot of bugs anyways, right? So I think it's not like this where, we're going to be, twirling our mustaches while adding bugs in the last level of a game to ruin their fun at the critical moment. Yeah, this is just bonkers.
Yeah, it sounds like that Wayne's World the thing where he's like, there is no boss on the second stage, so you can't actually beat it. Right. There's a lot more going on with this story. We can kind of hop into some of that, but mostly like this does seem to be coming to a head now. European regulators seem like they are fast approaching an approval of this. Obviously, the court case is still pending in the FTC in the United States, and the CMA, it's still not certain what they're going to do. But it's like EU was like one of the big battlegrounds, and it seems like they're going to just give the approval here pretty soon. And I think that's forcing Sony to kind of pull out these Hail Marys. It's just, it seems strange that they kind of, I don't know, these silly scenarios that they put forth makes it feel more like Sony is out of touch. And I don't know, are they doing any reputational damage that matters here? I guess I would lean towards no, but what do you think?
Nah, probably not. We can all, everyone's just going to laugh at this stuff and move on, and they'll continue to be the market leader, and we'll all kind of look back at that and laugh at it as a curiosity, like the Xbox all-in-one entertainment system and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
We do tend to have short memories about these things in terms of permanent reputational damage.
Sorry, I put a note for this section in a different thing, and I'm like, where did it go? And I found it, so let me put it here and then read from some of this. So Microsoft has tried to address this concern and some other concerns. They've been, as like sites of Kotaku have been covering this, and Microsoft's been like, hey, look at our thing in our documentation we sent to the CMA, and also here's a separate statement. So from Microsoft's response to the CMA, they said, by ensuring, this is from like what they sent to the CMA, this is a quote now, by ensuring parity between Sony as the largest console platform and Microsoft, the proposed remedy would ensure that Call of Duty is in fact made available on, quote, equal terms, which has not been the case for the past 20 years. This would benefit Xbox and PC gamers, as well as PlayStation gamers. Moreover, the proposed remedy will allow Sony to place Call of Duty in its own subscription service, PlayStation Plus. So it's like, that's still on the table. Like a lot of these other platforms, I guess NVIDIA got that same thing where they're going to be able to put it in GeForce Now. But yeah, like, okay, yeah, this is going to be able to go in PlayStation Plus. They're trying to remind everybody they still have that offer on the table. And then the statement to Kotaku says, and this is from Microsoft, since the CMA issued its provisional findings, we have offered solutions which address its concerns and increase the deal's benefits to UK players and game developers. These include a guarantee of parity between Xbox and PlayStation on access to Call of Duty and legally binding commitments to ensure that Call of Duty is available to at least 150 million more players on other consoles and cloud streaming platforms once the deal closes. The decision now lies with the CMA on whether it will block this deal and protect Sony, the dominant market leader, or consider solutions that make more games available to more players. They said, yeah, the ball is in the CMA's court. Also, it's in PlayStation's hands. But Jim Ryan has made it pretty clear that he doesn't want this ball. Take it back. Since Microsoft obviously playing good cop here with a lot of these statements, say, hey, look at all this nice stuff we're willing to do. Meanwhile, they're able to do that because they have Activision continuing to play bad cop. Activision EV Corporate Affairs and CCO tweeted a direct quote from Jim Ryan when he was speaking to Activision during a hearing with the European Union, where he said, quote, I don't want to do a Call of Duty deal. I just want to block your merger. It's like, man, okay, he just said it. He just like, yeah, okay, cool.
Right. Well, I mean, there's a little bit of like, I don't say he said, she said. It's just she said there, and I don't want to take that completely at face value. This is the memer executive, right?
Yes, true.
Which has made me roll my eyes more than once. Now, granted, I believe that's true.
Yes,
it's obviously true that Sony does not care. There's no concession in the world that's going to make them suddenly okay. They do just not want the deal to go through, and that's like, somewhat within their rights, I suppose. But
yeah, I mean, they're allowed to want what they want, right? Yeah, if that's what they want, and they don't want the deal, then yeah, there's no way they can force them to want something else. But yeah, and this, it's just, I think that so far, like, it hasn't been like perfectly played by any side here, but it seems pretty well played by Microsoft, especially having Activision out there being kind of this blunt instrument that can point out stuff like this. It has continued to make Sony look a little bit absurd in a lot of these situations. And I think Sony, again, what we've talked about this before, knows that and is willing to to risk that, because they know most people are going to forget this. And if the deal doesn't go through, that's such a huge win for them that they're willing to risk that, right?
Yeah, but maybe I should have asked this question earlier. But the whole like adding bugs at the end of a game thing, I know that's absurd. That's absurd.
Yeah.
Some like judge who's never played a video game know that's absurd. Is that the kind of gambit here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge factor in all these things. I think Sony's like not sure which thing they could get through, and so that's why they're willing to try a lot of this stuff. I believe, because hey, sure, a lot of these regulators are they're surprisingly savvy. They do their research. They have their teams that explain to them what's going on. That doesn't mean that mistakes can't happen, or hypothetical scenarios might not like catch hold in the imagination of these regulators. So I think that you're right to point that out, that this is something that maybe could work. If it's not with the CMA, then with the FTC or something, or one of these other regulators. Okay. Another side of the story: Microsoft insists Game Pass prices will not increase as a result of Activision merger. This comes from Tom Ivan at VGC. Microsoft has sought to dismiss the suggestions that it could raise Xbox Game Pass prices should its $69 billion merger with Activision Blizzard be approved. Issuing its provisional findings on the proposed deal last month, UK regulator, the CMA, raised concerns that Microsoft could choose to increase the price of its Game Pass subscription plans following the addition of popular Activision content. Here's a quote. Prices for subscriptions can easily be revised, and Microsoft may have an incentive to do so once it adds content that is as popular as Activision's, including Call of Duty. However, in a newly published response to the CMA's findings, Microsoft said it doesn't plan to raise Game Pass prices due to the deal going through, and claimed that doing so would be counterproductive because it would lead to a drop in subscribers. And here's another quote, this time from Microsoft. Game Pass prices will not increase as a result of the merger, and certainly will not increase to a point that offsets the substantial benefits of Activision titles coming to Game Pass on a day and date basis. This is especially so given Game Pass will continue to be constrained by buy to play, which is obviously the other big thing where people just buy games. Mike, I believe this only because they're going to raise the prices anyhow, no matter what, whether this deal goes through or not. Right. They're going to raise the prices, so it's not contingent on this deal in some way, right?
Yeah, this is like actually this is a somewhat better concern, but yeah, there's some fun language here. Well, we're not going to raise the prices because of the Activision merger. We're going to raise them because of the market, right?
Yeah, because everything goes up in price. Like, yeah,
right.
This has been one of the big hangups I think a lot of people have. It's like, this is going to enable Microsoft to raise the price of Game Pass. And it's like, I can promise you they're going to raise the price of Game Pass no matter what. Just like Sony, Microsoft, and all these third-party publishers have raised the price of games, not because of some fundamental change to their structure or because they made a bunch of acquisitions, but because they could get away with it. That's why they raised the price from $60 to $70. They could get away with it, and when Microsoft can get away with this, which is at pretty much at any point at this point, because it feels like they got that 25 million number, and that 25 million seems like it's going to be pretty solid. They could just raise the price $1, $2. That's going to happen. They've seen it work for Netflix. They're going to try it as well. But yeah, I do think they probably will try to avoid raising the price this year.
Especially while this deal's trying to get through.
Exactly. So I think on that side of things, they probably are also telling the truth, where it's like, listen, we don't want to look like the bad cop, so we're going to avoid this where we can. A more powerful Steam Deck is a few years off, Valve says. This comes from Kyle Orland at Ars Technica. If you're waiting for a more powerful version of the Steam Deck before diving in on Valve's Linux-based portable hardware, you may find yourself waiting a little while longer. In a recent interview with Rock Paper Shotgun, Valve designer Lawrence Yang said it will be a, quote, few years before the company releases a true next-gen deck with a significant bump in horsepower. A look at the Steam Deck's performance over its first year of availability helps show why Valve might not be in a hurry to release a more powerful portable. The current Steam Deck now supports over 8,000 titles that are either rated playable or verified by Valve's official compatibility program. This sounds right? Because they just got to a point, I guess not just, but they recently got to a point where you could buy one of these and get it shipped to you immediately. And a lot of people are still feel like it's very new. I still feel like buying a year old is very new. I would be a little bit disappointed if suddenly I'm like, oh man, this is already obsolete. That stinks. Even though I know it is obsolete based on what other companies are doing, I kind of want the Valve one to maintain the status quo for a little bit. I don't know. How do you feel?
I mean, yeah, it's barely a year old. And honestly, for most people, way less than that, right? A year ago is when the first ones were going out, and only a few lucky people were in that first wave. I know you're very in tune with like these portable PCs. As far as most people know, it's this and Switch, and the Steam Deck is still a million light years ahead of the Switch. So there just doesn't seem to be any kind of rush at all. Like you said, it'll make people who spent $500 whatever dollars on this thing feel kind of bad that theirs is already the old version. I don't really see that much of a benefit of releasing a new one immediately, at least not for a couple more years.
Yeah, so I wonder, like, what do they do? Because they obviously
make Half-Life 3.
Well, listen, let's not be completely insane, Mike. Jesus, don't embarrass yourself and think the impossible can happen. I mean, I think what they probably end up doing with the deck hardware is they do a slim version. They add more storage. I think that stuff is very likely. But they mostly keep the horsepower pretty similar. They might use a new chip that has more efficiency, but then they increase the battery life, kind of like what the Switch did with its battery life upgrade in the middle of the console generation. I think that stuff will probably happen here soon, within the next 12 to 18 months. And then after that period, by the time we get to the following holiday after that, then they start, like, it'll be a TikTok thing. Tick will be the big, Steam Deck is here. The talk will be, okay, now we're going to do a slight upgrade, get some efficiency, improve battery life, make it slimmer, add more storage. And then the next tick will be like, okay, and now here's Steam Deck 2. And this will be, like 2-3 years apart from between ticks and talks. So I think by 4 years from the launch of the original Steam Deck, we will definitely have a new one at least announced by then. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think that timetable makes sense. I hope they put the charging port on the bottom this time so that I can actually get like.
Yeah, I like how this is a big hang up for you. A lot of people like the charging port on the top.
Nah, because I can't get like a charging station for it because you have to put it on a stand and then still plug it in anyways. It's annoying. That's what I love about my Switch. I play my Switch in bedtime, and then when I'm ready, I just kind of plop it into its little stand thing, and I'm good.
It sounds
when I
really
play my
tough,
Steam
Mike.
Deck, it's like, all right, time to like get up and like find my plug and plug it back in, and now I'm up and I can't go to sleep, so I guess I'll play some Switch.
Man, I'm so sorry, dude. That sounds really tough.
My life's very difficult.
Listen, I like it on the top, but why not have both? One on the top, one on the bottom.
You do like it on the top, don't you?
Oh my God. Okay.
Dirty boy.
I don't know why I invite you on this show. I don't know why I do it to myself. All right, let's see here. Keeping this show moving along. It looks like Mario Kart 8 is getting 5 new characters. This comes from Luke Plunkett at Kotaku. Mario Kart 8 is a game that has that was released first released 10 years ago on the Wii U, and it's still not done. The 2017 Switch version of the game is currently in the midst of a run of downloadable content that is bringing not only new courses to the game, but new drivers as well. We welcomed Birdo alongside a Yoshi's Island course in the latest update, released today, but this fresh screenshot taken after its installation shows that there is still room for 5 more, and I have that here. Mike, you were playing this. Did you see this, that there was 5 slots for characters in there? So this is a real thing, slots. Huh?
That's a real thing. By the way, I mean, the new tracks are good, but that Yoshi's Island track is amazing. That track.
Man, I'm excited to play it. I haven't touched it yet. I'm excited to get in there.
Right. I mean, look, we're probably going to be getting some characters from Mario Kart Tour, from games we haven't seen in here yet, like Rob or is Pauline in Tour and stuff like that. But gosh, my immediate thought is because I like to disappoint myself is Mallow and Gino from Mario RPG, but there's no way. That's where my head goes.
Yeah, I was thinking I'm like trying to okay, this is a very popular game. They could use this to promote other stuff. Like, do they have that Kid Icarus remaster coming, and do they put Kid Icarus in here or something like that? I'm like, probably not.
Right.
I'd like to see Kirby for my kids, but I don't think that's even likely.
Yeah, I mean, we got Link and the Splat Kids and some Animal Crossing people at one point. I wonder if they're going to hold back on adding too many other third-party people until the next Mario Kart, because you're going to need something to really excite people. I mean, look, the next Mario Kart will sell anyways.
Yes, of course.
I think a lot of people expect the next Mario Kart to kind of be more of a Super Smash Brothers style roster in terms of just adding a ton of not third-party characters, but, outside of the Mario universe characters.
Man, Nintendo stealing from Sega again. Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed or whatever it is. Is that the right name?
It's Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. I kept calling it Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed, and that's wrong.
Right.
I think that's my most played Steam Deck game, actually. I played that on the Steam Deck a ton. That game rules.
Oh, Siegfried points. Yes, they should get Danica Patrick for the next Mario Kart.
And really, Ralph.
Yeah, really, yes, and really steal Sega's thunder there. I think this is cool. I think I'm expecting Birdo level character reveals from here on out. Yeah, but sometimes those level can kind of mean more to you. Like a Funky Kong is, I guess, a Birdo level, but I'll be a lot more excited about a Funky Kong than a Birdo. You're right. And my real hope here is Mouser from Super Mario Brothers 2. Give me Mouser.
That'd be cool, but
listen, I know it's not going to happen, Mike. You don't have to shit all over it.
Look, I'm just.
You can just say that's a good idea, Jeff. You did a really good job there.
Well, look, you didn't say shit when I brought up Mallow and Gina. I think you probably rolled your eyes and
I was actually tweeting that the show is live because I forgot to do that. But I heard you and I was excited about it. I was like, yeah, man, let him cook.
Yeah. Man, they should do Wart. That'd be fun. Wart from Mario 2.
I'd like that too. That'd be great. We need some more respect on Super Mario Brothers 2. I mean, Shy Guy's there. Shy
Guy was in a million other things.
Yeah, no, I know, but I mean, he started
realistically,
in Super Mario Brothers 2.
I think it'll be Rob, Pauline, Funky Kong, and again, there's probably some other Mario Kart Tour characters I'm forgetting about that they can throw in there relatively easily. That's exactly what will happen. I made the point that out. Thank you for pointing out. It will just be most of the characters from Tour that haven't shown up here yet. All right. We've arrived, Mike. It's the Mikey section of the show. A couple of stories that are dedicated to you. Let's start here. World of Warcraft will finally allow cross-faction guilds after nearly 2 decades. This comes from Cameron Coe at GameSpot. World of Warcraft will finally allow cross-faction guilds almost a year after Blizzard allowed members of the Horde and Alliance to group together for certain content, and nearly 20 years after the game's initial launch. The ability to create cross-faction guilds that are composed of players from both factions is coming as part of Dragonflight 10.1 Embers of the Neltharion. And will additionally... This guy doesn't know who Neltharion is.
And will additionally introduce a new zone, raid, UI improvements, and story content, blah, blah, blah. Cross-faction guilds is a feature Blizzard has said in the past that it wanted to deliver when the developer first announced cross-faction instant content last year as part of the crowd-pleasing Shadowlands patch. The subject of Cross Factions Guild was the obvious next step in the minds of many players. However, Blizzard at the time said there were hurdles that would need to be overcome in order for the feature to happen. Didn't they tell that to you? Did you ask them about this, or am I making
I think I was one of the first people who got them on record saying that they were working on cross-faction groups. Anyways, I actually talked to Ian and Holly Longdale, the executive producer, yesterday, and I think my interview will be going up later today. So about this, first off, Jeff, your Mario Kart thing is still up. Second up,
I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, I like it too, but
thank you.
I'm also tired of you failing spectacularly and publicly. So
that's fair.
I
know it doesn't reflect nicely on you. I'm aware.
Mm-hmm. Thank God. It was a major bummer for me in these games to have to play Horde, basically, when I wanted to play Alliance. I always wanted to play Alliance, but my friends would be on Horde, and you had to be where your friends were, especially for raids. And they did a good job making it so you can do content with the other faction. That's good. But cross-faction guilds really brings it all together now, because without being in the same guild as people, you're only kind of playing with them on sort of like here and there situations. Now you can really organize, you can work together, you can have your raid group be made up of Alliance and of Horde. And yeah, it's just time. I know that, for a long time they were worried that the strife between these two factions is in the DNA of the game, right? And we've had entire expansions built around the fact that these two sides are fighting each other.
Like multiple expansions. And like those expansions that focused on that, they've been like years between them, right? So it's like they've gone to that well enough times, right? They could move on from this.
Yeah, like the most recent one was Battle for Azeroth, which wasn't a particularly beloved expansion, right. And a lot of the faction versus faction stuff in it, story-wise, was pretty stupid. Like they were like, oh, we're gonna like tell a story where it's kind of gray on both sides, and then of course the side with the zombies and monsters committed a genocide, and like right, so they're clearly the evil ones, and it was just all pretty stupid. So yeah, I'm glad to just kind of move beyond that forever. I understand it doesn't need to be kumbaya. These, we're all friends all the time, whatever. And you know what? It's a video game. If you want to have the factions fighting each other and still let some people from those factions like team up to fight a dragon inside of a castle, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, that's right. Exactly. They can fake it whenever they want. Be like, oh, these have always been at war and they've never gotten along. No one's gonna be like, I play with my friend, he's over there. Like that. That's just normal video game stuff at a certain point. So it does feel like about time. Also feels like real nerd shit. All that stuff you just said, Mike. So
it's not cool. Like playing Breath of the Wild, that stuff is for the chads.
Yes, that's exactly. That's
the hockey players,
right? That gives you huge pectoral muscles.
Those dragons are cool. They probably have massive dongers.
You definitely huge hogs. Here's the other story.
No, asked you, Dan. Dan said it also sounds like nerd shit.
No, thank you, Dan. Dan's got my back.
Dan was on here. He's like, I don't know anybody who plays an MMO. I play MMOs, Dan.
He specifically said Final Fantasy 14. I know for sure. He's got many friends who definitely play Final Fantasy 14, including you. Overwatch 2 fixes cow balloon. Game is good again. This comes from Kenneth Shepard over at Kotaku. I don't know. I thought this would be a fun one for you as well, Mike. When Overwatch 2 launched in October, it brought several changes to Blizzard's hero shooter with character reworks, a new 5v5 structure, and an extremely controversial storefront. The sequel is essentially a refresh of just about every aspect of the original. There's a debate to be had about whether or not any of these things are a net positive, but one thing all fans could agree on was that the biggest nerf was to a giant inflatable cow balloon on the Busan map. Who once was, did I say that word right? Busan? That's just the actual place, isn't
That's
it?
just actually a city. Are you going to say that Busan is nerd
that's
shit
just an actual place.
now?
Okay, listen, we can move on from that. Let's pretend that didn't happen. We'll cut that one out in the post. Who once was able to do a little jig when players interact with it. That's the cow, not Busan. Well, with the latest patch, Blizzard has given the cow balloon its groove back. Fans took note of the change back at launch as it became clear the physics of the balloon were completely different in Overwatch 2. Originally, the balloon would stay mostly tethered to the roof it's set on, allowing players to make the cow dance in time with shots and other attacks. It's a tiny thing, but after 6 years, Overwatch fans have taken to the little quirks they found around the game's maps. Since October, the balloon has instead deflated and moved off the roof rather than staying tied to it in a way that never looked quite natural or intentional. They fixed this, and the community is thankful, but obviously this is a very small thing. Mike, my question to you about Overwatch 2 is, it does feel like it is getting the attention it needs to get into a place where everyone feels really good about Overwatch 2 again. How do you feel about that?
I guess. I don't know. I've kind of fallen off it again. I just really do not like the battle pass. I think before it was coming out, I told you a big concern of mine was the loot boxes were actually great for me. I got everything I ever needed from them. And then the battle pass, the very first one I got, even though I felt like I played a bit, didn't really come close to completing the battle pass.
Yeah, you're a big loot box defender. You say more gambling for children. You say this all the time.
Hey, the loot boxes were way better in Overwatch than this battle pass. I challenge anybody to argue against that point. But I don't know. The problem with Overwatch has always been that it's fun when you're winning and it feels awful when you're losing. And I know that should be most games, but I don't know why I feel it so much worse in Overwatch these days. And a lot of my friends aren't playing anymore. So if I am playing, it's just by myself, and I just feel like I'm playing against a bunch of strangers and getting mad. I don't know. The magic has been a little bit lost for me. Granted, it's a game I played for when did Overwatch 1 come out? A very long time.
2016?
I don't think. Yeah. So I don't know if it isn't necessarily just about Overwatch 2's changes or what have you, but I don't know what it would take to get me back in a strong way right now. Maybe when the new hero comes out, I'll check it out again. Yeah, all by myself.
Kenneth in the story points out that the game is getting way more frequent updates than Overwatch 1 was getting at the end of its life. Obviously, that's because they were working Overwatch 2. But I mean, that's got to be doing something for that fan base. We'll see. I mean, who knows? I would have said like 2 weeks ago that there's no update they could do to Halo to get people talking positively about that game again. And now in the last couple of days, everyone's playing Halo again. I got a bunch of friends playing Halo.
That's good.
So it's like, okay, if it can happen to Halo, if Halo Infinite can pop off again.
I guess that PvE mode is still coming to Overwatch 2. And maybe that'll be something that'll be as exciting and fun as I hope. I mean, I remember when the PvE mode was Overwatch 2. That was kind of the whole point of it, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that'll come out and it'll be a lot of fun, and I'll be happy.
People are skeptical about the Halo thing. Season 3 came out, and what they did is they instead of being like, hey, here's Forge, go find the fun stuff yourself, they basically just made one of the main playlists. Here's a curated thing of all the best Forge stuff, so you could just everyone's just in there playing that stuff, and then you get the fun Toy Story room and all those things. And I don't know, I've seen a lot more people playing it, a lot more people talking about it. It's not like it's the biggest thing in the world or anything, everybody. It's in a much better place than it was even a couple of weeks ago.
I had more fun when we were playing Halo Infinite, me and my buddies, than Overwatch 2. I have to be honest. Now, I did have more fun than when I first got into Overwatch.
Sure.
But Halo Infinite was a good time. You kind of make me want to go back to Halo Infinite, because as much as people really turn on that one. Yeah, God, that was so much fun. I always said this, even in the midst of the real heavy the reckoning for 343, and of course they did an awful job supporting the game. Not awful job. I don't know. I don't want to judge people's work ethic, but something wasn't working. I don't know why. Right, so there wasn't enough content. That game was always fun. The campaign was always fun. The multiplayer was always fun.
Yep,
it's just a content problem.
Yes, absolutely. And that content problem became a community problem, because it was it would drag down all the conversations, and you kind of need the Halo community to be kind of a fun thing to be a part of if you're going to keep playing that game. Well, it was this spiral.
Well, going back to World of Warcraft, right? I mean, 2 expansions previous to this one, everyone just kind of hated everything. They'll still play it and give you money, so that's nice. But it's a drag. And that's kind of one of the things I talked to, Ian about, the game director. Like, hey, people don't hate you right now. What is that like? He's like, yeah, it's better. Right? It makes a big deal. It's like I kind of feel like Destiny 2 is kind of feeling it right now, right? Feels like whatever Destiny 2 does, and I'm not playing Destiny 2. I don't know if it's deserved or not, but it's generally a negative reaction from the community. And I bet it can be a bummer, man.
Goldie just posted a clip of you playing Halo.
Is it the time you grabbed the enemy flag?
No.
And it was right next to where we had to capture it, and you grabbed it and started running back towards the enemy base?
All right, you asked for it. Okay, since you wanted to bring that up, I can bring this up. We can just watch this clip. Hang on, let me.
All right, fine. You watch this clip. I'll bring up the clip of you returning a flag the wrong way.
All right, hang on.
You dumb idiot.
All right, so this is you going up, and someone shot you with a rocket from point blank, and you died, and then you cradle your face in your hands in just deep, agonizing, existential pain for being
that's
so
right.
bad at the game.
That's right. I said I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of being a bitch, and then I immediately got like point blanked by a rocket launcher. Yeah, I remember that now.
Oh, that's good
Those
stuff.
good times.
Mhm.
Yeah, those good times.
I like that game a lot. It's fun to play.
That game was so much fun.
Yep.
I kind of. Oh, here we go. Here's Jeff captures the flag. Here, I'm going to share this with you now. You can share. You can
All
share
right,
this one.
actually, just put it in the Giant Bomb chat so that I can grab it from there. You should be able
All right,
to.
everyone can enjoy that
Yeah.
one. There you go.
There we go.
I need to find the other one too, where I jumped into a warthog and I had the hammer.
No,
and
that one we don't ever need to watch again.
I immediately screamed, "Bring me Jeff Grubb!" Oh, that was good times. Here we go. Here's that one too. Yeah, man. Whoa, this is
Right.
happy.
Mike Christian's coming. Never mind.
Wait, what? I thought our flag was at the base.
Yeah, our flag was at the base, Jeff. What were you doing?
Jeff, where did you take it?
We grabbed the flag was right next to our base, like literally right next to our goal.
Yeah,
We were just waiting to return the other one, and I grabbed it like, I got it, because I just spawned and was like confused about where I was, and I
Jeff, you
took
were
it and
at
started
our
running
base.
towards the other
Oh my
goal.
God.
No, I was
Oh my
completely
God,
wrong.
Jeff, we were supposed to capture it.
I made sure we put a stop to that.
Okay, all right, yeah, good time. Listen, I'm a video games journalist, and I know how to play video games real well. All right,
I was
next.
streaming last night and people were telling me that you needed help in Minish Cap. Apparently, you're looking up guides. Wow.
Yes, that game is obtuse. It continues to be pretty obtuse. It's I needed to know where to go, and also I'm glad I looked it up because it's like, oh, you can like go buy the bigger wallet now. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go
But
do that.
I didn't need help when they told me I needed boots. Oh, I'll just go to the boot store in town. It's got a giant boot on it. I did figure that one out myself. That's
You're
me
a smart lad.
exactly. That's just me paying attention. You know it.
Good job, boy.
Yeah, Minish Cap is no Metroid Fusion. All right, let's see. GameStop employees freak out as all Resident Evil 4 Collector's Edition store pre-orders get canceled. This comes from Ethan Gach at Kotaku. Resident Evil 4 Remake is just a couple of weeks away, and while many players will buy the game digitally, the most hardcore fans have probably reserved their $250 collector's editions that come complete with a statue of Leon holding a shotgun and looking tired as hell. The collector's editions were GameStop exclusives. However, on Tuesday, the company announced all in-store pre-orders have been canceled. Now employees are as exhausted as Leon at the prospect of having to call their most loyal customers and deliver the bad news. Here's a quote, and this is from Wario64. If you pre-ordered Resident Evil 4 Collector's Edition in-store at GameStop, they have just issued a memo stating the Collector's Edition won't arrive in stores and will not be fulfilled/arriving. So it's not like it's going to come later. They just aren't going to have them. They didn't say anything about online orders, so they assume the online orders are not affected. This is weird, and it's got to be very frustrating if you're at GameStop and like the people who come to your store and are the kinds of people who do drop hundreds of dollars on collector's editions. That's probably a pretty small sliver, and it's probably your like best customers. And it's like, oh, now you have to call them and tell them, oh no, we suck and we can't do this. And it's through no fault of my own. It's some problem with the way GameStop is fulfilling these orders. That's pretty frustrating.
Yeah, that's bizarre. So, like, did GameStop cancel those orders? Did Capcom cancel them? Like, who's at fault here for this?
I don't know. I don't know. It sounds like a GameStop issue. It sounds like they either didn't know how many they were. I mean, obviously, Capcom and GameStop are working together on this because this is a GameStop exclusive offer in the first place. But to me, it sounds like GameStop it just said, "Oh, we're going to have this many." And then they sold every single one of those online. And then they looked at like, oh, we've also sold a bunch in store. Oopsie whoopsie, we made a fucky wucky.
Fucky wucky.
Yeah.
I'm glad you've adopted that from me.
It's very good. It's a very, very good thing to say. What is the solution here? I think the solution is naturally happening. It is people are going to stop using GameStop, just like they've stopped using GameStop. When's the last time you went into a GameStop?
I think Christmas time. I did go in one. I was like, I need to buy some games for my nieces and nephews. I'll see if there's anything in here. And yeah, it was a weird experience. It was an unpleasant one. There's an issue at the time where I think just about every parent who walked into the store wanted to get Robux, right? And even before like anyone walked in, they would be like, the Roblox bucks aren't working, and then they would just turn around and leave. Like, and I think that's their number one seller.
Wow.
So I don't know.
I bet during
It's
the holidays,
weird.
especially, that's like something like a lot of like Uncle Mikey, I want Robux bucks for Christmas, and then like
So they
that's
literally have
all.
said that to me.
Yeah,
They want
exactly.
Robux.
What
And
do I?
AJ's like,
What do I
don't
do?
get them Robux.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was still unpleasant in terms of them trying to sell me a million things.
Right.
You know, get the just playing if you can get the protection plan. I don't want a protection plan for a video game.
No, of course
No,
not.
leave me alone. It's just annoying. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't like it.
Yeah, it's I've had good luck with GameStops in the past where the associates, as GameStop Corporation calls their employees, were pretty knowledgeable and were fun to be around. And it's like, okay, this is like a cool store to be in. And then you tell all the pressure from having to sell stuff sucks all that joy out of it, and
Yep.
they do become kind of miserable places to be. I bet there are way more miserable places to work at. So just
Sure.
yeah.
There's a ton of people, Jeff, with similar jobs as us who it seems like a lot of them worked at a GameStop or an EB
Yes.
Games or something at some point. I never did that myself.
I
I'm kinda glad did it.
applied for a job at not GameStop, but there was like a mostly used game store, but they had new stuff as well near my house.
Funkoland?
No, it wasn't Funkoland. It was some smaller one in the Columbus area, and it's where I bought my Wii from. I applied to work there, and they're like, "Okay, go online. You have to do this online quiz." And I'm like, I did the quiz and I answered it, and I never got a call back. And I was friends with the clerks. They're like, we never saw it. Like, you just got to do the quiz, and like if you don't do good enough on the quiz in terms of like showing that you're going to be a good employee, they don't even like send us the application. And I was like, oh my god, they know I'm going to suck as an employee, so they won't even let me have a chance to get hired here.
You accidentally select communist in the drop down,
That
Jeff.
wasn't an accident.
I miss software, etc.
Yeah, I miss all of them. I mean, Funkoland, definitely. I really hated when they changed Funkoland to Electronic Boutique and then to GameStop. I liked all those other ones. So like, I don't know. It's all just good for branding, but yeah.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, GameStop was my least favorite of the brandings, and that was the one that won. Oh well.
Yep. All right. Let's see here. Got that one. The Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition has performance issues across all platforms. This comes from James Carr at GameSpot. The newest edition of the Outer Wilds, dubbed the Outer Worlds, did I say Outer Wilds? The Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition, just released on Steam, Xbox Series X and S, and PlayStation 5. But despite promises of improved graphics and performance, the game seems to run worse than ever. The Spacer's Choice Edition now has mostly negative reviews on Steam due to poor performance, and the console versions seem to be suffering from the same issues. Spotted by PC Gamer, the Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition has a ton of negative reviews on Steam, most of which seem to be about the game's performance. One negative review reads, 3080 Ti, 35 frames per second, what a joke, so much better for performance. Other reviews echo the complaints about poor performance, with most reviews recommending players pick up the original version of the game instead. This is like, we're on a kind of a run here of, for this one, it's all versions of the game, but we're on a run of also PC versions. Just, hey, even if you got a 3080 Ti, a 3080, you're going to get 40 frames per second at best. I don't know what is going on with game. I suppose they're probably just stretched too thin, right?
Yeah, but this is especially weird because it's all platforms.
Yes.
This is a game that's a few years old now. You would assume the whole point of branding it again, aside from just bundling in DLC, is to optimize performance. How does it become the opposite of that? And it's not a free upgrade on PC.
No.
I think you have to pay for this. You have to pay for the game to be worse.
It's actually a really weird upgrade path too, because this isn't Microsoft. This is still 2K, right? I think 2K published this.
Yes, yeah.
Was it Private Division? Might even be the Private
It might have
Division.
been Private Division, which just got gutted, right? Or at least had layoffs or something.
So it's a $10 upgrade if you own the game and all of the DLC. And if you don't own all that, then I think you just have to straight up pay $60. Chad is saying, confirming, yes, it's a Private Division. So it's like, well,
what are you paying for?
Exactly.
$10.
That's no upgrade path at all. That's just, you have to spend a lot of extra money because most people probably don't have all the DLC, right? So this is just, it's weird, but I guess then you got to pay the full 60, or you don't pay anything because it's not even a very good version of the game. This is Obsidian, right? They have
Obsidian.
A track record of kind of putting out games in this state. I wonder if it's like, also that's a very busy studio. They have a lot going on. They probably are stretched thin, right?
As much as people love Fallout New Vegas, that game launched in a very rough shade, I remember.
Okay, Obsidian didn't do this port, though, is what Sound Guy Bubsy is saying? Okay.
I mean, that makes sense. I can't imagine they were involved. But whoever did it, it's weird because there's absolutely no rush to release some special edition of The Outer Worlds. Why not just wait until you got it in a good place? I don't know. A lot of games are just launching in rough states that don't need to be in a hurry. I still can't get over the fact that River City Girls 2 launched and accidentally ran at half the frame rate and with input lag. And that was in December. Yesterday, I booted it up on my Xbox. I was like, oh, they must have fixed it by now. Nope. And I looked online to make sure. Yeah, it just hasn't been patched yet. Just is still completely broken. So I don't know. Everybody seems stretched thin. Everybody seems flabbergasted. Everybody seems to be encountering bigger and worse problems. And even though the tools get better, Jeff, it seems like the problems also get bigger.
Right. I mean, I think you kind of nailed it right there. The tools get better, and then the publishers say, well, we could do it with fewer people. And then they find out that's not true. And they say we can do it with fewer people, but that means we can also take on more stuff and do more with less. And then every game has had these issues now for months. And it's, it's, I think clearly talent is at a premium. Apparently for this version, Private Division handed off this upgrade to another studio. And it's like, okay. And that's probably another thing where it's like this stuff is outsourced and they probably didn't have exactly the institutional knowledge to understand what it would take to get this game running as well as it could. And it's hurting it. We'll see if it ever gets there. You would assume I was at a point where I'm like, well, listen, a lot of things will launch broken, but they get better pretty quickly. And even that we're not seeing, like you just pointed out with River City Girls too.
They don't get it better quickly enough anymore, it feels like. And, there's just so many games out there, Jeff. There's plenty of games that do launch pretty good. People can just play those games now.
Yeah. I mean, like we were so looking forward to River City Girls 2. I was like, you were such a big fan of the first one.
So excited.
Like, let's get into this. And it's like, well, I guess we're going to wait till it's fixed. Like, why? There are a million other things we could play. There's a million other beat 'em ups we could play that are relatively recent, let alone other genres of games. So, I mean, again, who do we blame for this? I would probably blame publishers, but we'll see. Resident Evil 4 demo is likely launching today, according to a Twitch ad. This comes from Chris Moyes at Destructoid. It looks like Capcom with the previously teased Resident Evil 4 demo will be with us by sundown. At least that's the word going around on Twitch, where a pop-up ad appears to have jumped the gun a little bit early. According to Twitch users, a new ad for the upcoming remake has been frequently popping up on the streaming service and blazing with the words "demo available now." This is almost certainly happened. I think a lot of people figured this was going to happen with the Capcom Presents event. That's happening later today. Are you going to jump into this?
I'm trying to figure out because I'm both very excited to try it, but also, man, that game's coming out soon. I know I'm going to get it. So I don't know how much I need to play a section of it just to have to replay that again in a couple weeks. But again, this game looks like it's going to be so good. I don't know if I'm going to be able to resist getting a little taste of it early. They have that whole Capcom Presents or whatever it's called later today. It's going to show Resident Evil 4. It's going to show some Exo Primal.
Wow, I can't believe you remembered Exo Primal. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. Yes, I'm proud of myself. Which I don't think has a release date, right? So maybe that's going to get a release date. But showing out the Ghost Trick port to Switch and the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, I believe. Dan Reichert's saying people should play this demo.
Yeah, I wonder what he's basing that on. Yeah.
I mean, I bet it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is that team that did Resident Evil 2 Remake, which is just ridiculously good. Everything they showed from this remake looks fantastic. I have no doubt that this is going to be a good game. My only thing, again, is, I have a lot to play right now. And this actual full game is coming out in just, a couple weeks, a few weeks. So, Ghost Trick's coming to all consoles. Thank you, Octo. But,
that's right, yeah.
I just care about the Switch port. Sorry. I don't know. What about you? You going to jump in on this?
I keep checking my email for an email from a certain publisher about review codes for who could say what game. And since that's not popping up, yes, I think I probably will be. It might be a fun thing just to actually pop in and play that, maybe even record something for it. So we'll see.
Yeah, there you go. This game's going to be a huge hit, Jeff.
Yes, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be massive. I think it's going to be the best-selling Capcom game of all time, probably easily. And then, what, like 10 million here, like very soon. Does it get to that 20 million number? I feel like it could, because I just think it's going to be enormous. It's going to be huge.
Yeah. What is the best like Capcom game ever? Is it like Monster Hunter World or something?
It probably is Monster Hunter World or Resident Evil. Was 7 at this 8? Which one else? One of them outsold.
I think 7 has sold.
Right.
They always said 6 was.
Right, but 6 is no longer it. They had a chart a little bit ago.
I thought they were always lying with 6. I didn't believe them.
Right. Yeah, 6 is now been.
I don't know how you're able to lie at that stuff, but I just refuse to believe.
They probably gave it away for like $1 in a bunch of places, or like it was in a bunch of like what are those things called where you could buy like name your price and you get 13 or 30 games or something like that. So maybe it was in there and they're counting those. Okay, final story here. Japan's physical game sales from the last week. Kirby takes number 1. PS5 was the best-selling console again. It is on a tear over there. In terms of software, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe sold 62,000 copies. This builds on top of what it did last week. So now it's at a total of 251,000 copies sold. Pretty good for that game. Again, that's just physical and just Japan. Wulong Fallen Dynasty is new, and it did 30,000 copies on the PS5. The PS4 version did another 17,000, and let's see, the Xbox version not on anywhere on this list because big surprise, it's Japan. Yeah, go ahead.
Metroid Prime Remastered only number 10 on this list at 7,900. But that's kind of been the narrative for a while, is that Japan doesn't like Metroid as much as
right. And again, this is physical only. How many copies would they even have shipped to Japan when it's like, they aren't expecting the game to sell well there anyhow? It was number 2 in the UK. And so it's like, okay, that's really impressive for a limited release of a physical version of a game that came out a couple weeks after its digital version of a remaster. It's like all these factors working against it, and yet it still did pretty well. But yeah, I guess it gives you an idea of like what the kinds of numbers that they're working with in other territories. Less than 10,000 copies sold in Japan. Still, though, on the chart. And then for hardware, PlayStation 5, the standard model sold 60,000 units. PlayStation 5 Digital Edition at 18,000 units. This thing is now over 3 million total units sold in Japan for the PlayStation 5. So that's pretty impressive. That's pretty good. The PlayStation 4 alone, not the PlayStation 4 Pro, reached a total of 7.8 million. So it's kind of fast approaching those numbers. Yeah. That's going to do it for the news, though, Mike. I have a poll from yesterday I want to bring up. I could just click on this.
Jeff, you'll be interested to know, because I know you're always wondering when PlayStation 5s are going to be out in the wild. I saw a bunch of them at Best Buy yesterday.
I was at Target yesterday, and I looked again. I still didn't see any, but I know that everyone's been saying like they see them everywhere, and of course
I see
they
them
do
all the time. Yes, actually, yeah, and Xboxes and everything else.
Yeah, you see Xbox. Yeah. I was gonna. I still haven't seen Xbox Series X's either.
Really?
So yeah,
man, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It might just be could be my Target. I go to the
I think you keep looking in the pet section is your problem, Jeff. You got to go where the other video games are.
But that's where the kitties are. Will PSVR 2 outsell PSVR 1? 49.7% say yes. 50.3% say no. The people are split on this. I lean pretty heavily towards no, unless some like the price drops dramatically. And a bunch of new games get announced. Astro, as well as Half-Life Alyx, as well as a bunch of other things. And it doesn't seem like any of those things are on the table, except for maybe a price cut within the next year or so. Even then, I feel like the buzz will have died out to a point where I don't think there's anywhere this gets to the 5 million or so that PSVR 1 did.
Yeah, I'm pretty shocked that many people think it will outsell the first PlayStation VR 1, which seemed to kind of come out at the right time.
Yep. Oh no! Did I say the word "cut" in a way that is problematic? Okay. Well, yes.
What did you do?
A price cut. I think I put a little in there.
You threw a little. I was about to say hard end.
Yeah, you can't say that. Yeah, no, not. We can't get in trouble yet again. All right, I have a new poll question I'm going to put up. In the meantime, though, Mike, why don't you tell people where they could find you, what you got going on this week, things like that.
You can find me on GamesBeat. Again, I'm going to have that interview with the World of Warcraft leads pretty soon, talking about the cross-faction guilds and the state of the expansion. And I did ask them about the the mandatory coming back to the office thing, too. So I'll have that interview up soon.
I know you said you asked them about it, not that they provided a satisfactory answer to it.
Yeah, I'm not promising it much, but I did ask them. We're doing Blight Club right after this, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, they can also find you on giantbomb.com.
You sure can. I will be here.
All right, I am posting this. I think that is
Check out
satisfactory.
90s Disney. We still have our Roger Rabbit cartoon spin episode.
Yeah, I listened to that. Very good. It made me want to watch Roger Rabbit, something I haven't seen in a
That's a
very
good
long
movie.
time. It is a good movie. Will Nintendo bring more non-Mario characters into
Nice.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? The answer is yes, no. Go ahead and vote now. It's up. It's live. We will bring this up on the show tomorrow on GiantBomb.com. Speaking of Giant Bomb, what else do we have? So Mike mentioned Blight Club. That's happening here very soon. Dan will be playing Sonic 06 still. I'm very excited about that. Will he remember to save? Not if I can help it. And then we have, let's see, voicemail dump truck later today. I got to get the voicemails together. We have UPF, things like that. Yeah, Mike, thank you so much for spending today talking with me about video games. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know that my presence is greatly appreciated and benefactory. Beneficial. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, you're
smart.
welcome. Yeah,
You're
listen.
beneficial to me, buddy.
Yeah, complimentary. Listen, you complete me, Mikey.
There you go.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. You're the best audience in gaming, of course. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.
Bye.
I hit my microphone.